In the last 2 weeks, we've seen some amazing things occur. North Korea right now is poised to set off yet another nuclear test. We all know about that. We've had 4 school shootings within the last 2 weeks alone. Global warming, we can't even go there right now. And of course, here in New York City, this week we had a plane in a building. It raised such fear that we remember from 5 years ago. And we all got brought back to this time, but we were also brought back to a time of resilience here in New York City. And it's really important because there is a consciousness movement here in New York City. The way I like to look at it, being a business reporter as I am, is that we have this bank of consciousness, and we're all human capital. And we're all kind of depositing into this bank of consciousness. The question is, what will we do with it? You know, what comes next? We're all here in the room, and we have an opportunity here to take. So I'm urging everyone to really take a look at that. So joining me right now, first, Andrew Cohen is a 21st century spiritual teacher and cultural visionary. He teaches throughout the world, and of course, Deepak Chopra, a world-renowned leader in mind-body medicine. He's really dedicated himself to bringing diverse people from all over the world together to make a difference. So please join me in welcoming Andrew Cohen and Deepak Chopra.
The way the alliance came about was, I was talking to an evolutionary biologist a while ago, and she said one of the things that happens every day in biology is something called metamorphosis, when a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. That's a quantum leap of creativity, in a sense, in biological terms. So the mechanism of that is that at a certain stage of its development, the caterpillar becomes overconsumptive. It consumes more than its metabolic needs. And at that moment, the body of the caterpillar starts to die. But within the body of the caterpillar, there are a few cells that biologists actually refer to as the imaginal cells. They call them imaginal cells. And the imaginal cells start to gather in little clusters. And the immune cells attack the imaginal cells. But for some reason, they don't respond. They're in a state of choiceless awareness, or maybe imagination, we don't know, but they're not affected. And after a while, the immune cells give up. And then the imaginal cells not only gather in a little larger clusters, but they start to connect with each other. And they start to use the dying carcass of the caterpillar as their nutritive soup. It becomes the culture medium in which they grow. And one day, it seems, the connectivity of the clusters of the imaginal cells reaches a critical mass, or a tipping point. And on that day, a gene that has been lying asleep wakes up. And it has the information code for a butterfly. And soon a butterfly emerges. The biologist who explained this to me, she said, it's like you took your bicycle to the repair shop, and then you went to pick it up, and there was a Gulfstream jet waiting for you. And the guy said, it's the same thing you left last week over here. It's transformed. And I want to share this with you. I really wanted to share this metaphor with you because I think here we are, a cluster of imaginal cells, of creative cells. And like us, there are clusters everywhere right now. And the next step is to start to connect these clusters. We're at that point now.
When we realize there's no mythic Godhead out there that's going to take care of us or going to save us, there are no them out there. There's no higher brotherhood or order in the manifest or unmanifest domain that has figured this out. We're really in new territory here, and it's literally up to us to create the future together. And of course, the whole issue today is we have to find a way to come together in order to do this, because we can't do this alone. We can only do this through coming together in a spirit of creative friction. I call this a very positive kind of creative friction. It's almost when we rub, because the creative process is something that is very positive, and it only happens through friction. The universe wasn't created when God said, "Oh," it wasn't. The expression of the universe was not an expression of peace. It was an expression of profound creativity, and there's a thrill and an excitement and an ultimate experience of ecstasy and joy in becoming. And so we have to find a way to come together in creative friction, which means we don't always have to agree. We don't always have to agree. We have to realize through coming together and rubbing against each other with the highest and the deepest and the profoundest part of ourselves, new potentials are going to emerge. And I think that the metaphor of the butterfly is really about us really coming together in this way in order so that these new potentials will emerge through us individually and collectively. But in order for that to happen, we all have to make room for potentials that have not emerged yet. We all have to realize that the ultimate answer and the ultimate solution has not been found, but through coming together with a courageous, a courageous motive means when it's not going to work out the way we want it to, nor is it going to work out the way we think we would like it to be, because it's impossible to imagine what the future is going to be. And I'm sure all of you noticed that the most profound and extraordinary things that have ever happened in your life are things that you never could have imagined beforehand. So there's a sense of a not already knowing, or a kind of a mature innocence and creative commitment that we all have to bring to the table, and then start really rubbing up against each other.
Thank you very much. Andrew Cohen and Deepak Chopra.